Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our Dr. Smith Live, our 57th broadcast in the sunny, warm environment of Huntington Valley, all kidding aside. Anyway, we really have a great presentation for you tonight. I did a lot of homework and have a lot of good information to share with you. And what I'm going to do, we also have a little homework to do, or housekeeping. The World Organization of Natural Medicine is putting on a fantastic series, 12 top experts in the world in natural medicine. Will be starting on Tuesday, the 25th of January. And it's a type of thing that if you follow through and do all the sequences, you get a certificate to be a health steward or coach. Even if you don't want to practice it, the level of information that you'll be gleaning from the 12 professors, you're not going to find at the universities. You're not going to find it in many textbooks. And it's practical. It's stuff that can be done very easily, not complicated. And, just for selfish reasons to expand your own health knowledge. So, we're going to send out a little flyer tomorrow with any links if you want to see any more information. I strongly recommend it. I'm one of the professors, and I know the quality of the material is phenomenal. The feedback that we had last year from the students was pretty incredible. Anyway, I want to start tonight's presentation on the vegetarian versus meat. I had a patient several years ago, so Jared's going to show a little video here that we did with her. This poor girl ran around to all kinds of hospitals and medical specialists with fatigue and anxiety and just not feeling well. So we're going to let Vanita.
Hi, my name is Vanita, and I found Dr. Smith from Root Cause. I've been having anxiety, fatigue, headaches, digestion issues, you name it, and I've gone to hospitals, ERs, doctors. I don't even know how many places I've gone to, and no one can really find the root cause of what was going on. And when we found Dr. Smith, within 2 minutes of sitting down with him, he found it. And I've been taking the supplements on the nutritional diet, and I honestly was a vegetarian before, and he told me to eat meat. I didn't know what to do, but I started doing it, and now I feel so much better. I'm on week 3, and I already feel phenomenal. So thank you, Dr. Smith.
Well, little shock therapy, but interestingly, there's approximately 6 to 8 million adults in the United States who eat no meat, fish, or poultry, according to the Harris Interactive Poll commissioned by the Vegetarian Resource Group, a nonprofit organization that disseminates information about vegetarianism. Several million more have eliminated red meat, but still eat chicken or fish. About 2 million have become vegans, foregoing not only animal flesh, but also animal-based products such as milk, cheese, eggs, and gelatin. You can get many of the health benefits by being vegetarian without going all the way. For example, a Mediterranean eating type of pattern associated with longer life and reduced risk of severe chronic illnesses. An emphasis on plant foods with a sparing use of meat. So there's different types of vegetarians. There's vegans, which are totally vegetarian. They don't eat meat, poultry, fish, or any products derived from animals, including eggs, dairy products, and gelatin. There's lacto-ovo vegetarians who do not eat meat, poultry, or fish, but do eat eggs and dairy products. Lacto-vegetarians, they eat no meat, poultry, fish, or eggs, but do consume dairy products. Then there's ovo-vegetarians. They eat no meat, poultry, fish, or dairy, but do eat eggs. Partial vegetarians, they avoid meat, but may eat fish. They call it pesco-vegetarian or pescatarian, or poultry, polo-vegetarian. And then there's secondhand vegetarians, which I am one of them. It's because I eat grass-fed beef. And then there's also breatharians that eat no food and just live off of the air. All kidding aside. So vegetarianism is a great transition diet, going from the traditional American processed foods to eating real foods like meat, chicken, turkey, fish, vegetables, fruits, herbs, dairy, etc. When you look at the efficacy of a particular dairy or dietary approach, one must look at the long-term results. Long-term, I mean 5 generations. There is no one group of vegans or pure vegetarians that have a 5-generation record and are still fertile and have total health. Something to think about. In the 1930s, Weston Price and Francis Pottinger studied large numbers of tribes of 14 different races of modern primitive hunter-gatherers in all parts of the world. They did not find one group living on a vegetarian regimen. Most of our ancestors during the past 2 to 3 million years were hunters and gatherers. For the most part, our predecessors survived on animal protein. None of the animals used to feed us would ever have been born or experienced life at all if it wasn't for mankind to raise them for food. We have been genetically programmed to eat animal protein for over 3 million years. Interestingly, just showing you from a nutritional perspective, sea vegetables. 3 ounces of arame have between 0.09 and 1.5 micrograms of B12. 3 ounces of wakame seaweed have 1.9 to 5.3 micrograms of B12. And 2 sheets of nori seaweed is what they wrap the sushi with, has 2 micrograms. The RDA for people over 10 years of age is 3 micrograms. So unfortunately, if you're not eating seaweed, you're not getting enough of the B12. Ultimately, also, if you have a healthy microbiome in your intestines, the bacteria will produce B12. But living on this crazy toxic planet, or most people's intestines are like a swamp. So true vegetarians, those who never use any animal products, can lead a reasonably healthy life, but in practice, there's very few who do so. And that's the difficulty with the vegetarian diet. So reasons for not supporting vegetarianism. I'm not telling you which way to go. You read the information and you make your own decisions. Number one, it's difficult to plan a diet that provides sufficient quantities of protein, calcium, riboflavin, which is B2, vitamin D3, iodine, iron, B12. It requires considerable knowledge of food composition and nutrition. You almost have to be a biochemist to understand the nutritional value of all the different foods and combining them properly, and also cooking them properly so you don't destroy the nutritional value. Second reason, many vegetarians rely on soy for their protein source. Besides being low in the amino acid methionine, 90% of the soy is genetically modified, and it also suppresses thyroid function. Methionine is essential for chelating or pulling out heavy metals out of your body, plus converting homocysteine, which is linked to early development of heart disease. High levels of homocysteine are also associated with low levels of B6, B12, and folate. Interestingly, a lot of people have mercury fillings. The vegetarians, they're the sickest because they need that amino acid methionine to kill out the heavy metals that are leaking out of their mercury fillings. That's a real major issue. Third reason, all the 20 amino acids must be reasonably balanced at each meal, or the body will not be able to repair itself. Vegetable protein does not have all the essential amino acids. Animal protein has all the essential amino acids. Fourth reason, vegetarians consume high quantities of carbohydrates, pasta and vegetables, which raises systemic insulin levels, which increases inflammation and fibrosis. It will age you faster. So that's a key factor, people. Chronic inflammation due to high carbohydrate consumption will cause sclerosis or fibrosis of your organs and tissues. And that's a real major problem, and why people, have an early ascent. Also, many of the vegetable sources like flaxseed, soybeans, tofu, sesame seeds, black beans are high in phytoestrogens. 95% of all cancers are estrogen sensitive. Also, the hormones from the vegetables can withstand very high temperatures and still be active. According to Dr. Wong, the reason they don't tell you about those hormones is that they cause infertility and outright sterility. And since he calls them eco nuts and animal rights crazies, see humans as a virus on their otherwise pristine planet, they are out to literally to lower the human population, whether you want to believe it or not. As the eco-yuppie vegetarian crowd being worried about cancer-causing substances in our food, the claim rings hollow when one considers that soy has trypsin inhibitors. Trypsin is an enzyme we make, and it's one of the main safeguards we have against cancer. In humans, trypsin and its brother chymotrypsin actually eat cancer cells. Soy has a component that inhibits the function of the thyroid and lowers its function. 95+% of cancers are estrogen driven. Soy has an estrogen count as high as 10,392 milligrams per 4 ounces of food. This combination is why the number one cancer we are seeing in children today is thyroid cancer. I'll lay odds that most of all the kids who get thyroid cancer were fed soy formulas as infants and eat a lot of prepared foods containing soy products. Interestingly enough, flax seeds have 3 times more phytoestrogens than soy. It's something that is not very well known. All of the junk medical science has an agenda, whether it is getting you off the planet earlier from malnutrition. The average vegetarian lifespan is 56 years. Not long enough to be a burden to the socialist social security system or force you to have less kids or no kids in an era of already declining fertility and population. It's all meant to strike fear, misinformation, coerce, and otherwise lie to you in order to make you do something you wouldn't normally do. Stay a free individual, think for yourself, and don't buy into the outright lies and fear-mongering. 5th reason, key health problems that surface after 3 years of eating vegetarian are anemia, sore tongue, weakness, loss of weight, back pain, tingling of the extremities, gum disease, and mental confusion. I also see a lot of tooth decay in people that have been vegetarian for long periods of time because of the soy content and the lack of nutrients to support the thyroid function. And when you have a low thyroid, one of the side effects is increased tooth decay. The 6th reason, children tend to be smaller and many have learning difficulties. 7th reason, false sense of security. People who stop eating meat say they feel better. Well, this usually stems from a lack of hydrochloric acid and digestive enzymes needed to digest meat. 8, most people do not have enough cellulase, that's an enzyme, needed to digest fiber. Not digesting fiber prevents absorbing the nutrients in the vegetables. It's called dietary deficiencies. 9th reason, vegetables do not supply DHA, it's docosahexaenoic acid, or EPA, eicosapentaenoic acid, 2 essential fatty acids. Healthy fats are crucial for heart health, especially the right balance of omega-3 to omega-6 fatty acids. Better brain health, less depression. Symptoms include sadness, lethargy, and a general loss of interest in life. Improved mood, joint health, healthier skin and hair, anti-inflammatory, prevent blood clots, and its anti-aging effects. So you need these essential fatty acids. I strongly recommend you read Brian S. Peskin's book, PEO Solution. He has hardcore documentation that the omega-6 organic cold-pressed oils are way more important than the omega-3s. The brain needs it, your skin needs it, and from these parent essential acids, omega acids, the body can make anything. So, when you start taking these fish oils, they're rancid and they really goof up your system. Number 10, no big advantage in longevity of eating vegetarian versus meat, cheese, eggs, and milk. Russell H. Smith, PhD's analysis of total mortality rates as a function of the frequencies of consuming cheese, meat, milk, eggs, and fat attached to meat found that the total death rate decreased as the frequencies of consuming cheese, eggs, meat, and milk increases. So the more of the so-called animal proteins you eat, the longer your lifespan. A study by Burr and Sweeman in 1982 showed that the annual coronary heart disease death rate among vegetarians was only 0.01% lower than that of non-vegetarians, yet the authors indicated that a significant correlation was found between vegetarian and mortality from ischemic heart disease, which was especially marked among men. These findings confirm other evidence of a lower mortality from heart disease among vegetarians. This conclusion was extraordinarily misleading. So, what's bad about soy? Contains isoflavones, genistein, and diazin. In soy, the isoflavones are built-in insecticides. If they kill bugs, how good is it going to be for humans? Isoflavones are estrogen-like substances which have the same effect as the body's estrogen. So cancer comes from having too much estrogen. Irritability and mood swings, fat gain from the waist down, fibrocystic breast disease, uterine fibromas are all associated with estrogen dominance. In fact, women that go through menopause invariably are low in progesterone and become estrogen dominant. Instead of helping to prevent the bad effects of the environmental or natural estrogen dominance, soy isoflavones are now known to increase the bad effect of estradiol and estrone, the two major bad guys of the estrogen family. Estrogen kills testicular tissue, especially in men. It permanently reduces testicular function and lowers luteinizing hormone production. The luteinizing hormone is what signals your testicles to work. This increases the probability of estrogen dominance in men with hair loss, swollen and cancerous prostates. Male children fed soy formulas and soy products may not ever get to like girls. Doris Rapp, the MD, the world's leading pediatric allergist, asserts that environmental and food estrogens are responsible for the increase in male homosexuality and the worldwide reduction in male fertility. Isoflavones decrease thyroid hormone production. This can stunt children's growth and make the rest of them tired and fat, and also lower their IQs. Female children fed the estrogen in the soy formula, and products hit puberty very, very early, sometimes as young as age 6 to 8. Pregnant women eating soy products may affect the sexual differentiation of their children. Studies show that malformations of the reproductive tract and offspring born with both male and female sexual organs. Isoflavones decrease good cholesterol, the HDLs. Soy contains phytin, which takes essential minerals such as iron, zinc, magnesium, etc., out of the body before they can be absorbed. Also, soy contains trypsin inhibitors, which then block the vital anti-cancerous enzyme and anti-fibrosis enzyme. A 7,000-man, 30-year epidemiological study done in Hawaii shows soy is connected with a higher rate of vascular dementia, Alzheimer's disease. Any opinions to contradict the facts noted above have been paid for by the agribusinesses giants Monsanto and Archer Daniels Midland. Once public knowledge of their manipulation of the public opinion and of the FDA becomes widely known, expect monster class action lawsuits against these folks. They deserve it in spades. Point 1, comparing sedentary milk drinkers who may be taking in the calcium but not utilizing it because they're sitting on their duffs all day and put no pressure on their bones. That's called Wolff's Law, as opposed to gals who are bustling their asses on their feet, working all day in third world countries and actually absorbing every gram of calcium and putting it into their bones. And it just improves their overall structure of the bones and tissues. As always, from the anti-milk, egg, meat crowd meant to promote their animal rights and vegetarian agenda, regardless of how much they have to spin the truth to do it. Unfortunately, there's a lot of disinformation that's constantly fed out there because there's an overriding agenda. The point two, the study is further flawed because the relative ages of the women involved are not equal. Hardly any gal in South Africa gets old enough to get osteoporosis. They die young from all the hard life and work. Whereas Scandinavia has one of the largest elderly populations in the world due to their exceptional medical care and pension systems. Have you ever been in those countries and seen the people, their stature, their structure, how they work, how they exercise, or in the case of World War II and boomer generation, how they didn't exercise? So if you stood a 30-year-old Swedish gal and a 30-year-old tribeswoman from South Africa next to one another, you would see rather they'd be alike. The Scandinavians are built like Greek gods, but walk through their senior centers and rehab hospitals, and you see them shrunken and shriveled. What this flawed study does show is simple fact in the use or lose it phenomenon. Women who have hip fractures don't exercise or do hard physical labor. It's that simple. If you build roads with rocks broken by sledgehammers, and have seen women in third world countries do, then you'll have strong bones also until you die, because use it or lose it. And all the malnutrition from the poor diet just aggravates it with heavy work. Here's an excerpt on the supposedly harmful hormones found in meat and milk. Meat and milk hormones. Alas, here's where the anti-meat and milk crowd fudge their facts. Their agenda is really to make everyone a vegetarian because they don't want you to see Betsy the cow or Peter the pig as food. Excuse me. Animals, they say, should be free to roam the earth and not keep confined, awaiting their moment of execution in fear. First off, animal hormones degrade, lose their structure and ability to work in 5 minutes or less at temperatures above 58 to 68 degrees centigrade. That's 136 to 152 degrees Fahrenheit. The higher the temperature, the faster the degradation. Unless you are eating steak tartare, you're going to be cooking your meat for more than 5 minutes at temperatures above 200 degrees Fahrenheit. That's 93 degrees centigrade. So bye-bye hormones. They're no longer a problem. And by the way, since one of the arguments that the animal rights folks give against meat is that animals are filled with parasites, which is true, if you should be noted that those buggers can't live at those temperatures when you're cooking. The only flesh-eating who get parasites from their meat are the raw food and sushi-eating folks. As to milk, pasteurization, though much criticized in the natural health community, occurs between 63 degrees for 30 minutes or 72 degrees centigrade for 16 seconds or 138 degrees for 2 minutes, 2 seconds rather. Temperature and time enough temperature to denature hormones. One comment must be made on bovine growth hormone. Most all of the hormones of the larger mammals are interchangeable and nearly identical. So pig hormones, which are the closest thing to bioidentical human hormones, can have an effect on cows, deer, man, etc., and vice versa. So let us, for the sake of argument, make the statement that human and bovine growth hormones as nearly identical, which is what the animal rights activists are saying. The anti-meat folks have been rallying against bovine growth hormone and its potential for causing cancer. We have heard the same song and dance from the orthodox MDs in their fight against the anti-aging MDs and DOs using human growth hormones and IGF-1. The folks who say the stuff might cause cancer can point to no statistics to show a rise in cancer among those who are anti-aging docs use the hormones. And they can point no spike in cancer in the general population directly attributable to drinking milk or eating meat. Well, they have tried to contrive junk studies to prove that the very point to work has been conclusive. The study conclusions have all been very spun to make the desired points, even though the data do not support their conclusions. But on the other side, the anti-aging docs have been doing their work now for 2 decades, time enough to see trends in disease. Anti-aging patients in the last 20 years have not demonstrated more of a tendency to get cancer than the general population. In my opinion, the cancer is due to a lot of the toxicity, especially from the adulterated oils, which are turning your cell membranes into plastic. A real big problem. In an in-depth study of them were done, I would bet money that their rate of getting cancer was lower than the general population. This is what clinical experience has found. And for those who know my work, this is William Wong, know that I put a lot more stock in the observed reality of clinical experience than in any easily spun study funded by suspicious people with hidden agendas. Clinical experience is what's really happening. Many medical studies these days are conjecture at best and outright deception at worst. One final caper to this subject: anti-cancer doctors, oncologists use IGF-1, the active product of human growth hormone, to fight cancer. That says it all. As to the antibiotics, not much survives pasteurization and cooking either. So case closed on that one. So there's a lot of disinformation that's put out there, and it's very frustrating. Just to give you also just a little bit additional information for those people who want to, consider vegetarian type diets. The highest protein vegetarian foods that you should focus in on are Greek yogurt, which provides 23 grams of protein per cup, lentils, which provide 4 grams of protein per 1/4 cup, beans, chickpeas, and black beans, 4 grams of protein per 1/4 cup, cottage cheese, again, you want to get raw whenever possible, 14 grams of protein per 1/2 cup, hemp seeds, 4 grams per 1 tablespoon, chia seeds, 3 grams of protein per 1 tablespoon, edamame, 5 grams of protein per 1/4 cup, and green peas, 8 grams of protein per cup, quinoa, 8 grams of protein per cup, and that's cooked. Almonds, 3 grams per 1/2 ounce, eggs, 6 grams of protein per large egg. If you go to website, the links will be on Dr. GHSdoc.live. So you can get to the website called Eating Well. You'll get a lot of good information on recipes and foods. So again, how much protein does a person really need? Well, according to the experts, 150-pound person actually only needs 1.9 ounces. But again, this is the RDA, which is the bare minimum, okay, to stay healthy. So if you do physical exercise, you live in a cold climate, your body needs a little bit more protein to survive. Also, the National Agricultural Library has dietary reference intakes. They have calculators. So basically, babies need about 10 grams of protein a day. School-age children need 19 to 34 grams a day. Teenage boys up to about 52 grams a day. Teenage girls about 46 grams a day. Adult men need about 56 grams a day. And adult women need about 46 grams. So there's a lot of references out there, a lot of good books on vegetarianism. If you do go vegetarian, you got to really do your homework, people. You just don't go haphazardly about it, because it can really be detrimental to your health. Excuse me. Anyway, that's my little presentation for the day. And if you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to entertain them. If soy is not good, what about miso? The fermented soy is healthier. That's not a problem. So definitely fermented. Soy sauce, it has stimulates the brain, agitates the brain. It's excitatory. So I have it once in a while. I had some sushi for lunch. So I use the soy sauce with the green horseradish, wasabi. But as a whole, I would not eat soy. Again, 90% of it is genetically engineered. So many breakfast foods are heavily in carbohydrates, bread, pancakes, cereals. If I want to reduce carbohydrate content in the breakfast, what would you advise a healthy breakfast? I eat salad. I put in sardines in the salad, and I put pine nuts in the salad, walnuts, almonds. I mean, you don't have to be brainwashed with this whole carbohydrate thing. There's nothing wrong with having a salad for breakfast. Can you please comment on the relationship between cholesterol levels and a meat protein diet with healthy fats versus vegetarian diet? Well, all I can tell you is you have to have good quality fats. You look at the Eskimos, they were eating raw blubber. They didn't have any heart problems. So that's a big thing. This whole cholesterol myth, first of all, cholesterol is not a disease. It's a side effect. If you have a low functioning thyroid, you're going to have elevated cholesterol. Cholesterol is essential for every hormone that the adrenal cortex produces, which is 60 plus hormones. So the thing is, people eating good quality meat, protein diets, and quality fats. I'm organic cold pressed. In fact, about a year ago, I had a patient who had high cholesterol. I put him on the omega-6, omega-3, 11:1 ratio, more protein, and his cholesterol all went back to normal. So again, it's the quality of the food that you're eating, and that's the name of the game. I mean, you look at the primitive people, they don't have colon cancer in their vocabulary because of the high fiber content. And also, you don't have all the chemicals in the food that they're eating. Great question, Dennis. Is it possible to get maxilla to grow forward at the age 25 for Chinese males? That could be a problem. You may need a little help with some reverse headgear or class 3 elastics. But again, you may want to look at nutritional issues. But at this stage of the game, at 25, usually the bones have stopped developing. So it's going to be a mechanical issue. Let's see. I make protein pancakes and warm some berries up with butternut squash or pump. Absolutely. I had some butternut squash the other day. I usually make a big butternut squash, and I keep it, for several days. And it's very healthy for you. You can have buckwheat pancakes, a little bit better grains instead of the, real processed manufactured, pancakes that are kind of like Elmer's glue, basically. And with fresh berries and good maple syrup from Vermont, with it, not the high fructose corn syrup garbage. Do injections into the jaw joint, TMJ, destroy the jaw joint over time? Depends what they're injecting in there. You certainly don't want steroids in there because that'll cause a breakdown of the bone. From my clinical experience, with the right nutrients and microcurrents and anti-inflammatories like resveratrol, glutathione, curcumin, you can get rid of a lot of joint problems. Again, the TM joint is reactionary, so whatever is going in there is, unless you can have infections in the jaw joint, so you have to address that. You can have chlamydia in the jaw joint, cytomegalovirus. You just don't look at it purely mechanical. If you're treating inflammation, that's just a wagging tail of the dog. Okay. Genistein is recommended often with RGCG tests over in Greece for cancer, and genistein is in soy. Yes, I've read information with it. I know there was products that are out on the market with it. When it comes to cancer, I like to look at core issues. Cell membrane is a major, major factor. Adulterated oils turn the cell membranes into plastic. They do not pull the oxygen into the cells, and you become too acidic and toxic. So pH is a real big factor. Voltage, cell membrane voltage. The more acidic you become, the lower your voltage, you're going to get abnormal DNA and cancer. So there's many factors. Unfortunately, people look at magic bullet therapies. They want that magic bullet that's going to destroy their cancer. You got to change the terrain, people. The glyphosate today, and I just had a woman in who had a vaccination, J&J, and when I tested her out, it was in her brain along with one of the adjuvants in the vaccine. So all these chemicals that are assaulting our body on a daily basis, that's corrupting the terrain. So just throwing an antioxidant like genistein or other, so-called magic bullets, it's not solving the problem. It's like painting on rust. It may look good for a short period of time, but you're not getting to the core issue. Prolotherapy injections are the most effective to inject into TM joints. Yeah, prolotherapy is a saline solution. It stimulates, I think, stem cells and healing in the joint. I know Dennis has a lot more experience than I do. Yes, it's definitely a positive thing to do, but I try to look at, is there a mechanical issue going on with torqued or rotated temporal bones that are causing the TM joint to go haywire? Is there infection in the joint? Is there chemical toxins in the joint? Is there nutritional deficiencies? pH problems. So yes, prolotherapy is effective. Microcurrent therapy works real well. I'm getting into gemstones with jade. We can imprint frequencies into jade, which is the highest frequency of any gemstone on the planet, from what I understand. And, I'm wearing one myself now. I get these little donut gemstones. They look like lifesavers. And you can imprint pretty much any frequency you want. You could tape it over the TM joint to reduce inflammation, toxicity. So there's a lot of non-invasive ways that you can do things. But yeah, prolotherapy does work. It's pay your money and take your choice. Does arthrocentesis destroy the jaw joint in the long term? I don't have enough experience, Allan, with arthrocentesis. Maybe Dennis, you have any input on that? You can give us any information, or if you send it to me by email, I'll certainly have it put up on the website. Do you recommend a liver biopsy for a liver cyst to identify bacteria, parasite cause? I'm not crazy about biopsies, to be honest with you. I think with direct resonance testing, CyberScan, other electronic diagnostic equipment, you can get more accurate. If you have a lot of good test kits, vials with different bacteria. I mean, I have a whole bunch of test kits with different parasites, different viruses, bacteria, heavy metals. You can determine it that way, non-invasively. Arthrocentesis is the safest surgical intervention for TM joints issues as long as no steroids are injected. Well, thank you, Dennis. I will need to take the Pfizer booster soon. No choice. What can I do to quickly detox it? Everybody has choices. Bottom line is, okay, so the killer in all the vaccines are two major components. Number one, graphene oxide. It basically acts as an antenna pulling in 5G, 4G frequencies. The second bigger killer is graphene hydroxide. That's like little razor blades traveling through your bloodstream and your organs. And that's why these athletes are killing over on the field, because when they're running fast and the blood's flowing quickly through the bloodstreams, it's just like little razor blades. It's cutting up all the tissue, and they'll bleed to death and they get a hemorrhage. If you want to counteract it, you need the antioxidants glutathione, very, very important. C60 is also very effective against these vaccines and boosters. Curcumin, very, very important. NAC, N-acetylcysteine, also very, very important. Also, there's some homeopathic nosodes, I believe, for Pfizer, a company called Celatech. I believe in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And they have I believe a nosode for Pfizer and J&J. I would take, some ivermectin. I would take hydroxychloroquine. I would take zinc, vitamin D3, in addition to the other nutrients that I mentioned. I would not take it. I don't care who the hell's trying to force me. That's why I carry a 9mm. I have a license to carry. So I'll give them one of my injections first before they give me an injection. In a few basic terms, how does the Tesla Energy Card work? Basically, it changes the frequency of toxic substances. I call it electronic alchemy. A perfect example, had a woman that had chronic pain for 2 weeks in her liver, and she couldn't get rid of it. When she came to me and I did a diagnosis, she had glyphosate in her liver. So I said, you want to try something non-invasive? She said, sure. I literally took my laser, 650 nanometer red laser, pulsed it through the homeopathic remedy isopathic rings into her liver. So she came back the following week for a follow-up visit. She said by the time she drove home, which was 45 minutes, the pain was totally gone and didn't come back. The Tesla Energy Card is just a different delivery system. It has a magnetic strip that has impregnated or imprinted frequencies. These frequencies then neutralize the toxic frequencies of heavy metals, viruses, bacteria, and so forth. Another interesting little commentary, I have a new secretary, and what was interesting when I was starting to imprint eyeglasses or pendants or necklaces and all, I did a little experiment with her. I stood her up in front of my router and did a muscle test, and she couldn't hold her arms up because of the deleterious effect of the Wi-Fi. I took her crucifix, imprinted scalar energy with 18 healing frequencies into it. As soon as she put the crucifix on, I couldn't get her arms down. She was that strong. A week later, she comes to me and she says, I didn't mention it to you, but 2 to 3 years ago, I had an attack of shingles in my right leg and it damaged the nerve. And every day I have to wear a lidocaine patch because of the discomfort in the nerve. She says, since you imprinted the healing frequencies of scalar energy, 18 healing frequencies in my crucifix, it was 1 week later, she said, I have absolutely no more pain in my leg. So one of the interesting components is that your aura picks up the energy from the card and transmits it throughout the body. And it healed her leg in 1 week. So to me, that's pretty impressive. I've just recently had feedback with the Tesla Energy Card, putting in the COVID frequencies, and the patient was in the hospital, oxygen level of 92. They wouldn't give him ivermectin or hydroxychloroquine. So the wife had access to our COVID card, imprinted 2 bottles of water with the frequencies, and they let her take it into the hospital. He drank the 2 bottles of water. The next day, 24 hours later, His oxygen went from 92 to 96, and he felt dramatically improved. This is real deal stuff. It's all about the frequencies. That's also about the test energy cards. When I showed mine to my daughter recently, she immediately noticed the energy of it when she held it in. Oh, absolutely. The energy, scalar energy is the common denominator in the whole universe. And of course, the 18 healing frequencies help to reset. The DNA vibrates at 528 hertz. And when you drink structured water, it's basically giving it a 528 hertz to help repair the DNA. The frequencies that we have in some of our new products have 2 healing frequencies for the DNA, one detox frequency, and 1 general healing frequency. So we have a new laser coming out, hopefully by the end of this month. But it's just powerful technology. Getting down to the root cause. Go to Peggy Hall, the Health American. She has everything you need to know to your employer not to get the vaccine. You really got to defend yourself, people. This is a lot of this damage is irreversible, and it's just not worth it. So you just got to stand up for your rights. First of all, it's against the Nuremberg Code of Ethics. Rainer Fulmich has filed a international suit against Fauci, against Bill Gates, and also the idiot who's the head of the World Health Organization. I can't remember his name, but this is going to be revolutionary with what's coming down the pike with all these lawsuits. And our own U.S. Supreme Court said it's unconstitutional to force somebody to take an experimental drug. I mean, you just got to stand up for your rights. Let's see. What are the best TMJ specialists you would recommend? Neuromuscular dentist. You got to find a dentist that has a lot of clinical experience. Not somebody that dabbles in it, that's for sure. But also, they have to have a background in cranial, because if you have crooked temporal bones, you'll never get the TMJs to work properly. Unfortunately, I see a lot of the battered patients with the TMJ problems. And once we start straightening the temporal bones out, balancing the cranium, give them some good vertical support and balanced occlusion and good nutrients to get them into an alkaline pH, their problems subside pretty dramatically. So it's more than just, an appliance. It's more than just an injection into the joint. You really have to understand, if someone has a pronated foot where the arch caves in, that's going to torque your temporal bones. And you could throw all the best appliances in the world. If you don't correct the pronated foot, you're not going to stabilize the temporal bone in the TM joint. So it's really complex, and you have to have a global view of the functional anatomy, physiology of the body. Just don't, start throwing appliances in people's mouths or go to a dentist and if that's all he's talking about, I think you're wasting your time. Do you recommend med beds, healing technology using? Absolutely. I haven't looked at any specific brands yet. I basically have the Their-phi system in my practice. It's kind of like a med bed. It has 2 huge bulbs, and it projects a plasma field of scalar energy and 18 healing frequencies. And we've had some pretty miraculous results with that. So that's very, very important. Find somebody that has good technology. Their-phi, it's international now, and it's actually manufactured in Vancouver, I believe. Paul Harris, he's an electronics genius that put it together. And I literally treat myself 3 times a week for at least 9 to 12 minutes in it. And I'll tell you, I don't have any real major problems, and people can't believe that I'm 78 years old and still going strong. But I feel like a 35-year-old. Again, put high octane fuel in your body, and good quality frequencies, energies. And the fact that I'm wearing now a little pendant with the jade in it, with the 2 healing frequencies for the DNA and 1 for detox. And as soon as I put it on, it was over my thymus gland. It's incredible. I felt the energy. So it's kind of like the Energizer Bunny. What do you think of coconut oil? Is fantastic. Saturated fats, there's no problem with saturated fats. It's when they're cooked and adulterated when they really screw you up. There's lauric acid in coconut oil, extra virgin coconut oil, very healthy. Coconut oil can sit on the countertop for 5 years and not go rancid because it's very high in vitamin E. Very healthy for you. Question of definition. Scalar energy is the same as what is imprinted, or is it a question of imprinting or the source of the imprinting, something different? Scalar energy is physical. It's a wave. And you literally can imprint the frequency of that energy pattern into a chromium oxide strip. Also, water is a crystal, and you can imprint a frequency into water. You could imprint a frequency into a gold medallion, a bracelet, a watch. I've taken people who had the Fitbit watches, and the frequencies actually blow them out. And I exposed the Fitbit watch to scalar energy and 18 healing frequencies, and it literally neutralizes it, and they can wear it and it doesn't blow them out. So the definition of scalar energy is the universal energy, and you're actually taking that pattern, that electronic pattern, and just putting it into a magnetic strip. Just like you have a sugar pill and you imprint the frequency of a homeopathic remedy into the sugar pill. So you could imprint pretty much anything with electronic frequencies. Is your Tesla card in your pocket too? Yes. I carry my Tesla card wherever I go. It protects me against 5G, 4G, and I just keep it in my pocket every day. Protects me against my iPhone. It's an inexpensive way, and you can put it under a glass of water so you could drink the frequencies in you. You could imprint your glasses, and literally the frequencies will go through the optic nerve into your brain, down your spinal cord, and literally healing the body from the inside out. That's my theory. And so far, the results that we're getting with people are pretty darn incredible. Even the frequencies downloaded from our website, immunitybynature.com. My IT person, Jared, in October came down with a flu, and he imprinted the frequencies of, I think, ivermectin, and within 48 hours, he said he was 100% normal. So this stuff really works. It's the common denominator of all problems with health. The frequencies get out of balance. And that's why this 5G is so deleterious it's going to be to the population, especially those that have taken the jab with the graphene oxide. That's going to act as an antenna, pulling these EMFs into your body like crazy, and chronic inflammation. And you're going to be sorry. You're going to cut your life short. Say, is it possible to eliminate or lessen graphene oxide from the supplements you have mentioned? Yeah, basically, Lindsay, the glutathione, the N-acetylcysteine, the curcumin, the vitamin C, they will help remove the graphene oxide and hydroxide. Yep. Do you need special training for the Their-phi system? Not really. The Their-phi is pretty straightforward. The hardest thing was kind of like setting it up, which was not really rocket science. They give you the diagrams, how to connect up the unit. But basically, you need a massage table and 2 end tables to hold the bulbs. And you basically have a little support pillow for their neck, and you turn it on. They tell you the level of intensity to use, and I test the patient to see what period of exposure that their body needs, and you just lie there. You don't have to do anything. And in one clinic that's, I guess, about an hour away from my office, some years ago sent around a press release. They had a woman who was literally sent home to die with metastatic breast cancer, and she was treated with the Their-phi 20 minutes a day, every day for 4 weeks. At the end of the 4 weeks, the cancer was totally gone. So, like I said, cancer is not a disease. It's an adaptation of low oxygen and toxicity. And the bottom line is you correct the terrain, you correct the frequency, the pH, cancer disappears, and many other chronic diseases. How long the bulbs last? Well, the more you use it, the quicker it's going to burn out. But so far, we've had, I think it's over a year with the bulbs. And, we use it every day in our practice. And we've had some pretty good luck with it. Okay. Are there any religions that you hold close to your heart? Yeah, being human, to me, that's a religion. I believe in spirituality. Be honest with you, I don't believe in organized religion because, in my opinion, my humble opinion, it was devised to control the masses. So I go directly to whoever's running the show, and I meditate in the morning. I put my positive affirmations out. I treat people the way I want to be treated, and that's the best religion. Like I said, I'm not a fan of organized religion because they have an agenda, and that's to control the masses. And years ago, they used to teach spirituality, but once the people became spiritual, they couldn't control them. That's why they stopped teaching it. You become independent. You make your own miracles. So do we run out of questions, I guess? Anyway, I had fun, and thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules to get some information. My philosophy is make an informed consent, describe, do your homework, read many different sources, and then make up your own mind. Don't believe what I tell you. Research it, and but just don't, rush into things. I was into macrobiotics for 6 years. And I'm telling you, after 2.5 months of eating strict vegetarian, I would have killed for a piece of meat. And I had a good rare prime rib, and I was a happy camper. But not everybody can be a vegetarian. You really have to be careful with that. So thank you again, and we'll see you next week. God bless.